But they're like, they're teachers, they have to write it down anyway. But if you do, we are not going to have time to finish it.
Then, here's an example.
Stacking the deck. We just call this stacking the deck because we're doing the stacking, you know, we're asking the questions, getting the answers that we want. So if you want a paragraph on the definition of triangles, and folks, what little I know in science is exponentially smaller in math. Exponentially is the only math term I know. So when I was coming up with this,
That's true, you know all of those.
when I was coming up with the paragraph for math, I went, oh, okay, triangles, I know something about triangles, okay, we're doing that one. So, we're gonna do a triangle, okay? So, what is a triangle? How many basic types are there? 3, got it? Am I right? I know 3? That's all I can remember. Okay, so you name the first type. And remember, we've already asked them to do it in complete sentences. The first type of so-and-so. Okay, what makes it unique from the others? Name another type of triangle. What makes it unique? Name another. What makes it different from the others? Why do we study triangles? Ta-dum.
So you could use that versus just pulling sticks and asking the questions and having them verbally tell you how to write.
Hey, write a paragraph about triangles, or a square, or a, you know, whatever it is. Okay, so here's the conclusion. This is where I'm going to be nailed.
Which, I have a question.
Yes.
So when you get this done with them, do you, like, I would like to tell them, write it in paragraph form, because a lot of them might do, like, you know, like you're really organized students might number
The
it.
first few times that they do it, don't have them do that, because then they're scared they're writing an essay.
Okay.
I mean, that's just the nature. Just have them write the sentences. And then take one that you know the students do good. Take it and say, oh, listen to this. And read it. Say, what does that sound like? Just like we did last week. Remember, I just picked his up, and he's so good with words. Picked it up and read it, and you all were not nearly as amazed as the principals. That was a paragraph. He's a good writer. We just ask the questions. Okay, so you do that and say, what is that? Okay, that's pretty good. You know, if we put in a couple of transitions, wouldn't that be awesome? And I've given you a list of transitions today in a packet so that you can allow your students to use those as well. And we'll talk about that.
So just kind of like sneak it up on them.
Sneak it up on them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be devious.
Lab report conclusions. Now,
At what point, like, do you, if they need to look up a word in a dictionary, like say they can't spell scalene and they want to look it up?
go for it.
Okay.
We used to keep dictionaries. underneath
Unless
our
this is your
desk.
test.
Yeah.
Unless it's your test on triangles, and they should know
Or unless
scalene.
you want it to be like a quick write, you know, to where.
But if you want them, even if it's a quick write, they need to spell. They need to spell, especially those terms work. But if it's a test, of course, they should know, because that's part of their study, okay? But if it's just a writing, I say, if you know it's not spelled right, you better look it up. That's just, it counts, right?
Didn't we get dictionaries
Okay.
for our other content areas?
Absolutely. When we were doing writing, Virginia and I did writing across the curriculum forever in Northeast, and we insisted that every single content area had dictionaries in the classrooms. So we bought them. I mean, Virginia and I didn't. But we had the district buy dictionaries for every classroom. Not one for every desk in math class, but they had a set of 12. So that they were available, okay? So that, you know, and that's important that they have those things available to them. Because you can't insist on spelling things correctly if you're not going to give them the tools. Okay, the lab report conclusion. I tried to, and I've been wrong before. My shoulders are wrong. What was your hypothesis? Was it confirmed or rejected? Why did it happen? How did it happen? What made it happen? Were there any errors during the experiment? If so, you need to tell about them. And what did you learn from this experiment? Am I right? Am I close? Remember, we're talking about 5th to 8th graders.
Right. I would make a couple of suggestions.
Okay, listen to her.
Oftentimes we use prediction rather than hypothesis. for us, it essentially means the same thing, but I already told you, if you look in the hallways, you do not see predictions. You see the hypothesis is being tested. And the hypothesis, the data either supports or does not support the hypothesis.
Oh, so it's not confirmed or rejected, it's
Well,
supported or rejected.
it depends on, you know,
Sorry.
with science fair, you tend to use a little bit different language, but for your level, you know, does your data, let's say your hypothesis is that before you walk in the room, the tables are all red. And you walk in and the data clearly says they're yellow. So did the data support your hypothesis that they were red? No, it does not. So your data either supports or does not support your hypothesis, or if you want to use prediction, the same thing. But we have hypotheses in science that are based on some data, some evidence. If you know nothing about it, remember that's a descriptive research and there's no hypothesis. The other thing that I was thinking, oftentimes you don't know why it happened, but you just know it happened. You know, all the tables were yellow. Well, we don't know why they were yellow, they just are yellow. So sometimes you don't know why things happen, and we make a mistake, I think, in teaching and trying to explain too many whys. I have a story that I use with my students from my organic chemistry teacher that when we got, you know, when you first look at the orbits, they're all a nice pattern. And then the pattern starts going away. And she was from China, mainland China. And so we said, well, Dr. Fan, why does this happen? And she said, I don't know, God made it so. You just can't try to explain the whys of everything, so don't try to do it. So the why did it happen probably is not a question.
It's a could be.
Yeah, yeah.
If you know obviously why it happened, then include it.
Right, but your data goes in there, you know, what happened, okay?
This is where the.
Yeah, so I would add what happened, because that's your data.
Okay, yes.
Can you use a format like this for every subject, like just say for instance for math, you want to use a format? You have to change it?
No, it's always going, it depends on what you want them to know and what you want them to remember and how you want them to communicate that to you, okay?
Okay.
And it certainly is gonna change with everything.
Right.
Sometimes you just need one elaborated sentence is all you need. And sometimes you need more than this. This is just a conclusion to a lab. Depends on the circumstance. But the question on the exit ticket was, how do we stack the deck? How do we know we're asking the right questions? And the answer to that response is, because it was ask the right questions to get a good paragraph. The answer to that is, look at what you're looking for and make your questions for. Now, folks, you shouldn't have to ask those questions after the mid-year. You've got them so accustomed to, oh, this is what they need to know, then you should just say, here's the topic. They should be able to do that from then on. This is just something to start them out, to get them thinking in those terms, okay? Because they don't necessarily think in those terms in science and math class. When they walk into an English class, they go, oh yeah, I write a paragraph. And some of them will say, well, this is like an English class. Really? I didn't know that.
They do math in English, you know.
I didn't know they did science in
And
English.
I would say typically in our science, we're asking these questions individually, so it doesn't end up being the conclusion doesn't include all of this. It typically is what data do you have, and does it support or not support your hypothesis? And if you did not get the expected results, how might you account for it? That would be that arrows issue. I mean, you might not have made an error, it's just you didn't get what you had, but how might you account for that?
And another thing you might want to do at the very beginning is put these questions up.
So they
and
know what they're looking
answer
for.
them together as a group, and you model it and write it on the board. And they write, you know, they've answered the questions, you know, or whatever, and you wanted to turn it into a paragraph or something. You know, get their questions and model it. Do it together the first time. And then, you know, they can do it on their own.
This is, question terms. And this is a handout that we had from years ago, and once again, we're gonna be shaking hands in hell for copyright, but, you know. Oh, well.
Some of my best friends will be down there.
Yeah, we're gonna have lots of dear friends in there, so it's not, you know.
We'll say y'all see.
Not me.
But, anyway, that's, these are awesome. If you're not sure which questions, or how you need to phrase your questions, or frame your questions to get that synthesis, you know, that creating thing, this will help you in asking those questions. Oh, we already got those. That's right here. Here, let's try this guy. Now, everyone should have 2 packets, yes?
No.
No. Oh, no, you're there. Never mind, got it. No panics.
The reasons I feel like maybe I'm not a good elementary teacher.
Somebody else need one of these? Anybody?
No,
You know,
If y'all will take a look at the question terms, maybe on just the back of the sheet of paper or something, why don't you write 2 questions using 2 different levels of,
No, that's the wrong one.
of questioning to come up with a good question you would like to put in your content area.
but this one.
So if everyone would just write down like 2 questions.
Did you give an example?
Cite 2 things you remember from last week's lesson.
How can you apply them? Any question? Yeah, okay. Two questions that you'd ask your students using those question terms.
Oh, no, she's a few questions asked.
Does that matter which level?
No, but I would concentrate over here because that's usually where we don't get there.
Develop an exam question based on today's lesson.
That creating part,
Mhm.
can anyone offer me an understanding question? Bless you, twice. Any more than that is greedy. Anyone have an understanding question?
What do you mean understand, like?
So you use one of these terms that shows for understanding?
Oh, this is something I use with my kids.
Okay.
describe how feeling like today's topic can affect jobs in the future. Explain your answer in blank sentences.
Okay. How about an applying question? Anybody have an applying question? Not a soul. Dead silent.
I went all the way to the end, I didn't think number two.
Okay, let's go creating. Yes.
I have, what two-dimensional shapes would you use to construct a three-dimensional triangular prism?
Awesome.
Generate an idea as to why banding is created in metamorphic rock instead of granite.
Okay, if you generate an idea, you're creating, you are creating. And do they have a clue? Are you gonna have them, when you're doing that, are you gonna have them already having studied that? Are you going to have them dream it?
I would have them study the sedimentary rock and layering and then introduce the metamorphic and
Okay,
generate
good. Sometimes it makes a difference when you ask them to do these things, and I just wanted to clarify that, because you can't ask them to do things that they're not equipped to do. Okay, you understand how you can use, sometimes you're not asking, you're doing a lot of the definitions and the understanding, but when it comes to the applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating, we kind of fall off the mark, because those are not things we are typically asking them to do. So you might want to start honing in on some of your questions that way. If you look at this packet with me, the second one, you were asking last week about the demonstrating knowledge because we were honing in on the learning part and incorporating. And the demonstrating, it takes a little bit more of your time, or more of the students' time, because those are more the projects and the things. But I'm going to show you today that it doesn't have to take a lot of time, and it can be fun, and it can be quick to grade. These are some creative ways that you could use your demonstrating knowledge writing. Create videos. There is a website, please tell me what it is where they can create the videos. Animoto, okay. She was our video guru at MacArthur, so I always look to her for those kinds of things. But typically, they can create a video, and it's not something that I'd have them do individually. This is something I'd have them partner up for, or do a small group. Because number one, you don't have all the time in the world to show everyone's video. And if you're not showing it, what good is the video? Okay, so there has to be that time allotted to share that. There's cartoon, create a comic strip, okay? Students can use online cartoon things. If you need technology, they say you have to have technology in the classroom. If you need something, they have an online cartoon strip, or you can just hand them a cartoon strip. Folks, this is a great way that they can demonstrate that they understand the concept, okay? Great way, and it's a great assessment. It's lovely for open house. You know how you have to have student work on the walls? And it can be colorful, they can color it, you can post it. It shows that they're smart and creative, and your room is all decorated. Oh, wow, bonus. They can create presentations or slideshows such as PowerPoint. Again, group them up for that. Comic strips are individual. Slideshows, videos, group, or pair. And you can use graphic organizers. Now, we were talking about using graphic organizers last week as writing to learn. But sometimes there's springboards to your writing to demonstrate knowledge. So on this graphic organizer, by first organizing your thoughts, students will be able to write or summarize their findings in well-written form. This is on science. What do I want to find out? Which fruits have the most electricity? And then what steps will I take? I'm gonna collect a variety of fruit, hook up the fruit to a voltage sensor, measure the voltage and record the results. What are the results? Sour fruits have more electricity, equals more acid. Sweet fruits have less electricity, less acid. What do they mean? More acidic fruits have more electricity. They're like batteries. Done. Graphic organizer. Now, if they have this information and as they go through their lab and they say, oh, yes, and they fill out their graphic organizer, then is that going to make it easier for them to write their paragraph, their results? Yes. It's already in order, okay? So that's how to use that graphic organizer a little. And so now we're going to stop for a moment because we need to. And in that other little packet that you have behind the questioning terms, keep going on. Oh, look, you have a comic strip. Okay, you're going to choose a topic in your subject area, and using the comic strip format, illustrate your understanding of the concept. Stick figures are acceptable. I will draw, so there you go. But abbreviations and spelling errors are not acceptable. Okay? Your rubric is attached, and it should be on the back of that paper. Oh, well, it's not. It follows that paper. There's your rubric, so you know exactly how that would be graded. That comic strip. I want you to do it. The example is in this packet. On a friction. Oh, my elbow just scraped the edge. Are you okay? You just experimented with a type of friction. That is called static friction. It occurs when objects, I can't see it, push against each other, just like your elbow pushed against the pool edge just now. Really? Tell me more. Okay, another type of friction is, got it? Or, then we have math. Sally, I'm trying to find out the length of the table diagonally, but it's too hard. Tom, what are you doing? There is an easier way. Let me teach you first. Let's highlight out the triangle. Now, if the triangle is a right angled triangle, we will be able to use the Pythagorean. Pythagorean. I got it. Pythagorean. Here, to find out the length. Sometimes that tongue just does not do. Get it? Concept. You think of a concept in your subject area, do your comic strip. Show me that you know that concept. You have colors on your table too. You can make it pretty.